Hello and welcome to Encore. I'm Mariam Saab in Paris. Coming up, riding a tidal Noirwave.
Are you ready? Do you really want to go and find?
Fusing afro-beat and synth-pop with a metal undertow, Petite Noir is crashing down on African music and culture with a new vision for the future. Hailing from Cape Town with Congolese-Angolan roots, Yannick Alunga is joining us in the studio today to talk about music, religion and resistance. Hello Yannick, thanks for joining us today.
Good to be here.
Now, before we get started, let's start on a bit of a festive note. It's the first anniversary of your record, Life is Beautiful.
Yeah.
What inspired that album?
I think it was, looking for the positive and the negative, really, and just exploring sides of myself that I never knew I had.
Now, before we look into how you're going to mark this very important milestone, we're going to take a look at a track off the record. This is Best.
I don't care what you will do, so please just go back home. I don't care what you will do, so please just go back home. Don't take me or break me. I'll fight for myself. The king is above me, and there's nobody else who'll stand in my way.
Now, you're working on a documentary project about this album and also about a movement you've pioneered. Can you break down Noirwave for us? What is it?
So Noirwave is it's a mentality, really, and it first started off as just a genre, a musical genre, and the more I sort of grew up, the more I started to realize that it's so much more than just music. It's like art and visuals and
And it's
fashion.
a philosophy.
Yeah, it's a philosophy. It's sort of breaking down barriers, of what we sort of think, recreating a new sort of Africa,
A new African aesthetic, I've
Yeah,
mentioned.
a new African aesthetic.
Now, to understand Noirwave, we only have to look at your roots in rebellion. You actually grew up in exile. Your father was a former minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo before packing up and moving first to Brussels, then France, then Cape Town. Can you tell us how that impacted you?
Well, my mind is I feel like I see the world differently, and the more I the more I grew up, the more I started to realize how fortunate, I was to have parents that traveled so much, because, and it's, you can sort of hear it in my music too, So, yeah.
Drawing influences from all the
Joy, from the world,
from the world.
the world's my home.
Now, how did you go from playing guitar in the church to thrashing it out with a metal band? I mean, they seem to be like two very different worlds.
Well, not really, the thing is, it's music is music at the end of the day. You can use it for good or bad, whatever it's called as genre, it is,
Was it a choice between God and music? Was that a decision you had to make at one point?
No, because God created music, And I think a lot of people sort of try to make it with the last interview that I had where we spoke about stuff like that.
Yeah, because that was buzzing online.
Yeah, so I think they try to sort of make it seem like I was choosing between God and music, but God created music, And I just chose
Now, somebody else who thinks they're God, Kanye West, he's a big influence for you. He changed your life at 16.
Yeah, when 808s and Heartbreak came out, that was really it revolutionized. Is that a word, revolutionized?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it really changed my whole musical
It was Kanye West's departure. He went from rap to electronic music,
Yeah,
and that
you know-
opened up a whole new world for
Yeah,
you.
exactly. And he was just pushing the boundaries of music, in general, which is also what, I sort of want to do, because it's not really about just making like African music and putting like terms to it. It's just about pushing music in general, and pushing those boundaries.
Now, onto another group breaking down some barriers. Same track, different lane. A South African Dutch band making waves of their own. They first made us stand up and take notice with their polyglot recording, Riot in the Jungle. It's a world music medley made up of 6 different languages. What do you think, Yannick? Can we expect a French language album from you anytime soon?
I don't have any plans of making a French album, but, I always mix everything in like the album and like, the music and stuff, so.
Well, Skip and I are currently on a European tour where you, Kian, caught up with the band in between gigs.
Mix electro, psychedelic rock, and tropical beats with phenomenal performance. The result, Skip and Die, a band who never failed to set the stage on fire.
It's a band that just brings people together. It's a real fusion.
Yeah, it's like a party playlist.
My name is Cata Pirata, sou gata gostosa que vos comanda. Como sabem, venha de banda África.
After touring the world for their debut album, Skip and Die are back in France, where they have their biggest fan base. They're promoting their second record, Cosmic Serpents, a travel diary which tracks their road trips across Africa, Latin America, and Europe.
Our sound is definitely a collage of different experiences because we take recording devices wherever we go and we use whatever we hear. So we use conversations, people that we hear, the trees, the birds, the sounds of the landscape.
If there's a cool thing, like maybe a cool garbage bin that sounds nice when we are playing, and it's like, okay, that sounds nice, let's put it inside of the setup.
The founder of the band is Cata Pirata. Her parents are socially engaged filmmakers from South Africa. She traveled widely with them during her childhood. Now, she writes her songs in different languages and combines political messages with the band's danceable beats.
Well, I see our music as more socially aware or socially connected to what's going on in the world, connected to what's going on in our personal lives, but also in the bigger picture to different communities in the world.
Skip and Die are on a musical adventure, performing and producing as they go. Now, they've got their eyes set on Australia, a new territory to explore.
Now, Yannick, you seem to have a soft spot for France, particularly.
Yeah.
It's in your name, your album title. Tell us why.
Well, my granny lives in Dijon, and I have a lot of family here also, and I used to come here when I was a kid, and so it has a very like nostalgic sort of feel. And also in terms of playing live shows and stuff, it's always been amazing, playing in France, and I've toured France like so many times. So yeah, and it's always been amazing, being in France and stuff.
And of course, it's your mother tongue, as you mentioned.
Well, I guess my first language, yeah, but now I'm starting to lose it a bit.
Now, you have a lot of fans rooting for you here in France, but it hasn't always been a pleasant experience. Can you tell us about some of the racism that you've unfortunately encountered at gigs here?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thrown with a beer in my face and stuff like that. But I mean, people are crazy out there. People do weird things sometimes. I mean, we just carry on going.
And you've said that music is your weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, how can we use art to try to, bring about change?
Having a good message, like speaking life, and being positive and doing it in a way that isn't like cheesy, you know, and just being yourself. Really, that's the only thing, that you should be, really, just be yourself.
Well, you're anything but cheesy. You're the king of chillwave, Yannick, and I hope to be hearing more Noirwave on the airwaves. For those of you at home, a reminder that Petite Noir's latest album, Life is Beautiful, is out now. Thank you for joining us today,
Thank you so much.
Yannick. We're going to end with another song from your album. It's called Chess. A reminder to connect with us on our website and Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Stay tuned. There's more news coming up on France 24 right after this.
Tell me now, you gotta be there when I wake up. Don't need to sell my soul, 'cause you already came out of nowhere. Tell me where you go, all the church and pray.